Welcome to another Blueprint IoT video, and today we're going to talk about IoT in the super simple version. So IoT stands for Internet of Things. But what does this term actually mean? So you probably heard of the internet, but what internet actually means is interconnected networks. So we're going to connect at least two networks, and one network can be everything from one computer or two computers up to as many computers as you like. So for example, a network could be your home network where you're connected with your phone and your computer, or at work where all your workstations at your company are connected to one network. And as soon as you want to access another server or website, you basically connect to another network out there in the internet. So the new thing is the thing, which could be a simple light bulb, a simple socket, a whole fridge, or just a single sensor. But how will this stuff work together? So on one end we have the thing, and this thing can receive or send data. For example, a temperature value, or it can receive a command like turn on the lights. And of course on the other end we have the internet. So the challenge is to connect the thing to the internet. Unfortunately, it's not that easy like this direct way. We have to figure out a different way. For this purpose, we normally have something involved like a base unit. A base unit can be a microcontroller or something you may have heard of, a Raspberry Pi. So a little tiny computer. So the job of this computer is to manage the thing and connect it somehow to the internet to communicate with everything that's going on in the cloud. The communication between the thing and the base unit can be done digital or analog, which basically means you have the digital one with the zeros and ones and the whole computerized communication, or you have the old-fashioned analog one with a certain voltage level or something like this. But all you need to know for the moment, this communication will be managed by this base unit and the thing itself. So the next step is to transfer all this data right into the internet. Of course, you also need to transfer data from the internet down to the base unit, and all this communication can be done wirelessly with Wi-Fi or wired connection with Ethernet, like the internet cable you plug into your computer as well. To get from the base unit to the internet, there's actually one more device in between, which is called the router. You find one of those devices at home as well. Normally it's provided by your internet provider or your cable company, whatever kind of setup you have at home. So this tiny box, the router, will actually open the door into the internet. Alternatively, in case you have no router or Wi-Fi or whatever available, you could also connect directly to the internet via a cellular connection, which will involve a bit of a different kind of technology, but at the end of the day you will also end up in the internet. And this communication between the base unit and the internet will be done purely digital and using a protocol like HTTPS. You probably know from your web browser. Normally you type https://www.google.com or whatever. So the S, by the way, stands for secure. So as long as you use HTTPS to reach out to a website, you can be sure that this whole communication will be encrypted. So be aware, once you have only HTTP communication, that someone could attack you using a man-in-the-middle attack or something similar and spy on your communication. So always make sure you have DS. There are also more specific IoT protocols, something like MQTT could be used as well. But now we're out there on the internet, but we want to go somewhere specific. We want to go into the cloud. So the cloud is a big buzzword for more than 10 years now, but what is actually a cloud? To break this down as much as possible, the cloud is basically a server which can store data and process information, and this server will have an IP address like 85.215. whatever, which can be addressed from our base unit directly. What you normally do once you're accessing the internet is you're using an URL, which would be google.com, but in the background this will be translated again into an IP address. So basically you're always addressing a server using an IP address. In case we use an IoT specific protocol like MQTT, we will also have a broker there who will basically manage all this communication that's going on. So at the end of the day, there we are. the users. And of course, we want to access this information from our sensor about the temperature or our fridge, what's exactly in the fridge or whatever information we want to access. So again, there will be communication between us and the cloud, which will utilize HTTPS or MQTT once more. So that's all the technical background, but let's take a look on a real-world example. Let's assume we have a passenger train which is supposed to arrive at a certain time. At least in Germany, it happens quite often that this train is delayed. So what normally would happen is you and your friends may be waiting at the station, get an announcement that will tell you, okay, the train will be delayed. But how much? By 5 minutes, by 10 minutes, by 1 hour? Should I take another train or should I wait? What should I do? So we could involve pretty easily some IoT devices here, for example a GPS tracker mounted right on the train, which will communicate maybe via satellite to some sort of control center, and we could basically track the exact position of the train, which could be used to forecast the expected delay, which will be displayed right on each passenger's phone within a notification. So while that's something that may be in use already, there are more examples for the future. Let's talk about cargo trains. An IoT device could be mounted on the train and monitor the temperature of the cargo, which could be transmitted via cellular and internet to the potential customers. So each customer can monitor all the data and know exactly in which condition the cargo was while traveling to the destination. The same principle could apply to ships or even trucks. An IoT device could be this cheap that we can mount it on every single container to monitor each freight individually to forecast the best before date on an individual level based on the conditions during the transport. As weather gets more extreme more often, we could deploy many more weather stations connected directly to the internet, providing real-time data to the scientists, which will be used in their models for more precise forecasts. Or think about renewable energy, which is great but not reliable. So we could measure and forecast the energy production on a turbine level and forward this information to a control center where the energy production and the demand can be leveled and managed. Even food production can benefit a lot from IoT. We could measure the moisture level in the soil and help the farmer to irrigate only as much as needed to minimize the water use. Or think about healthcare. In case a patient needs to be picked up by an ambulance, all the patient data could be transferred via an IoT device to the hospital, so as soon as the ambulance arrives, the personnel at the hospital knows already exactly what to expect and what to do to save the patient. And since all of this is not some kind of near-field communication or local radio or whatever, it's connected to the internet and can be utilized around the world. So this is it for today's video. I hope you got a good impression of what's going on in IoT on a technical level as well as on a use case level. In case you want to know more about IoT, check out our detailed video and of course make sure to be subscribed to explore many more topics around IoT.